What's up, YouTubers? Geek Girl Claire here with an event review. So, this is my first real event review, and I'm happy to say that it's about a haunted attraction, a haunted house. So, it's one called Lincoln Mill, and it's in Manayunk, PA. And the rumor has it that this 9,000 square foot building, this old mill, was once run by some dictator type person named Victor King. So that's the backstory. And long, long ago, this guy basically like abused his workers and did experiments on his workers, something like that. So the really cool part of this haunted house that makes it different than all the other haunted houses out there in Philadelphia or otherwise is the fact that there's this cohesive storyline. And this backstory basically permeates the entire haunted attraction. So that's really, really cool that they came up with this like mega idea, this meta idea. And basically all the little haunts that are along the way in the maze are based entirely on this backstory. Pretty cool. So the story goes in full detail that in 2021 there was the Hurricane Ida and it flooded Philadelphia, and a lot of the streets in Philadelphia, including Manayunk around that area, totally flooded. And what happened in Lincoln Mill was it was flooded, and suddenly like lots of damage happened in this one building, Lincoln Mill building, and this whole basement was like uncovered. And there are like secret things that were uncovered in this basement. And that's pretty spooky in itself because there's a lot of haunted things in Philadelphia, in the Philadelphia area. There's a lot of haunted houses. There's a lot of like old ancient history in Philadelphia. So if you walk around at night, for example, there are tours, walking tours that you can do on various haunted houses, haunted attractions in the Philadelphia area. And these happen outside of the Halloween time. So Philadelphia is a really, really major place, I think, for haunted attractions. So you'll see things like Fright Factory, you'll see things like the Eastern State Penitentiary, the Halloween Nights there. Also, after Halloween Nights ends, there's like I think it's called like a redo or some rebirth or something like that, where basically all the lights are out in Eastern State Penitentiary. You're carrying like a little light stick and you're going through the same mazes with the same scare actors, and you're in pitch black darkness. So that makes it like another haunted attraction in itself. That's pretty cool. There are many other haunted attractions all over around the Philadelphia area. You can go to, well, not exactly in Philadelphia, but you can go to various places out west, and they're close enough. Like you can like travel to them within 2 hours, that kind of thing. You can go to Bates Motel southward. You can go to the Bethlehem area northward, where they have a haunted attraction there. Spring Grove, PA, there's a haunted attraction there, the Field of Screams, I think it is. Or what is it? It's Karen's Haunted Mill or something like that. So there's lots of different haunted attractions, and ones in New Jersey as well, not too far away, less than 2 hours away. So pretty darn cool. And there are a lot of little haunted houses too. So yeah, in fact, the owner of Lincoln Mill, one of the owners of Lincoln Mill, actually has a little haunted attraction in his house up in Bethlehem. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, very, very cool. So I went to Lincoln Mill, and it's in Manayunk, and parking is kind of atrocious there. You can try to find street parking, but it's easiest if you just park in one of the lots where you pay, I think, $6 for 2 hours or $9 for 3 hours. I don't think you'll need more than 2 hours, but don't quote me on that. Don't blame me if you get a ticket. So you can park in one of the lots, and it's relatively cheap. $6 for 2 hours, not bad at all. So here is my souvenir mug that I purchased it. So yeah, this is my badge of honor for completing the entire thing. And yeah, I also got this little funky keychain here that I thought was pretty cute because it looks like a little Funko Pop keychain. And yeah, I found out where they actually sourced this from. So you can get a whole bunch of these for relatively cheap, all different characters and stuff. But if you go there to Lincoln Mill, you'll see like all of them on display. So they're all pretty cute, these characters. There's a Michael Myers, there's a Ghostface, things like that. So very, very cool. And of course, Chucky. So this company here purports to be named Chucky. Yeah, pretty cool. So yeah, I'm in the Halloween spirit every single year. I've got my little Halloween toys all around. Yeah, pretty darn cool. And Halloween night, big night for me. So I usually go out trick-or-treating, so to speak, but no, not really. I go to an adult-themed Halloween party. It's called Henry David Halloween Ball. I've been going to that thing for like years and years and years, since the early 90s, I would say. Maybe, yeah, early to mid 90s I've been going. So yeah, pretty darn cool. So let's see, let me describe the experience of Lincoln Mill. So you walk up to this large building. It's nicely lit with red lights all over around the windows. And first thing that you go through is this like metal detection check, right? To make sure that you're not carrying any weapons of any sort. So once you get past through that, then there's a really long line of people waiting to get into the place. There's also a VIP line. So if you want to skip the really long line, then you can pay the additional charge to get on the VIP line, which if you pay the normal price, it's $35 for the really long line. But if you skip the line, it's $15 more, which is actually a very good bargain if you think about it, because you don't have to wait in the long line. If you get a special platinum VIP ticket, you get to go through twice and also skip the long line. So that's what I did. I went through twice, skipped the long line, and that was pretty darn cool. Now, the bad thing about skipping the line, I mean, the cool thing about being in the line, the long line, is the fact that while you're waiting in line, there are many, many actors, scare actors, just kind of like coming up, creeping up behind you, alongside you, in front of you, and their mission is to scare you while you're waiting in line. So I would say that out of all the haunted attractions in which I had to wait in a long line, there are more scare actors scaring you in this line, in the waiting line, than in any other haunted attraction I've ever been on. Usually there's like 2, maybe 3 scare actors like waiting to scare you while you're waiting in line on other attractions like Fright Factory and Bates Motel. But here, there are many. I don't know how many total, but there are just many. Let's put it that way. Even while we were waiting for the metal detection check, there was somebody right there ready to scare us. And that was pretty cool. And yeah, everybody was in like full costume and such. And so even the people checking IDs and stuff were in full costume. Pretty darn cool. Yes, very, very cool. So once we got inside the place, once the metal detection stuff was over, then yeah, you're presented with the 2 lines, the long line, the VIP line. So when you buy your tickets, it's going to be on your phone, unless you want to print them. But there's a QR code that gets texted to yourself, SMS, onto your phone, and you can just show that to the ticket line people, and then you can get in to one of the 2 lines. Pretty cool. All outside, while you're waiting in line, there are these people trying to scare you, but also, right off on the side, there's places for buying candy, there's places for buying merch, there's places for buying drinks, there's places for buying other things. So yeah, lots of cool stuff all around in tents. So let me describe for you a little bit. I'm not going to go through all the details because I probably forgot some of them because they were actually freakishly scary. So, and I don't want to give too much away, but I'm just going to tell you this. Since I was walking single, they had to put me in with a group of other people, right? So I was in this group of 5, basically. So I was the 5th person. And yeah, you're considered a family of 4 or 5, and you go through as a group of 4 or 5. I would have preferred to actually go through by myself, but that wasn't allowed, unfortunately. So I know that in other haunts that I've been to, I could go by myself and not be a part of a so-called family. And sometimes it's much scarier when you're just walking through alone. And I will just say that one of my favorite times in a haunted attraction was when I went to Eastern State Penitentiary alone. And let me tell you, they like really ramp up the scares when they see a single alone person in Eastern State Penitentiary. It is well worth the money to go to Eastern State Penitentiary as a single alone person. But I digress. So let me just say that if there is something that Lincoln Mill could improve upon is to just allow the single person to just go through alone. And that would be pretty darn scary for anybody. Let me just tell you. Because when you go in through as a family, if you're in the rear, like I was, the first pass through, I went through twice. First pass through, I was behind everyone. And lots of people in front of me, the 4 people in front of me, got scared first, or they got scared and I didn't get scared. And I was like, hey, wait a minute, where's my scare? And it wasn't until people like came from behind me to scare me that I was scared. So I would say that, yeah, you don't want to be in a large group. If you can be in a group of 3, I think that would be like ideal. They're not going to let 1 or 2 people go in separately, apparently. It's got to be a group. So the group is 3 or 4 or 5. So yeah, or it's as many as can fit into that first elevator ride, so to speak. So they call it an elevator ride. And it's pretty funny because I'm not sure it actually goes anywhere. But it's really fun. It's really fun that the whole thing rocks and shakes and stuff. And the elevator operator, he was like totally hilarious. I recommend, like that first experience, I recommend experiencing that because I haven't seen that ever. That's pretty darn clever. And then once the elevator stops, then it opens up to basically the maze itself. And yeah, the first couple of turns, nothing happening. It's just setting up the mood, right? Just like in other places, like Fright Factory and other places like that. And then scare after scare after scare. I would say that per capita, like this haunt has the most scares per step. So if you can take the number of scares that you would get in a haunted attraction and divide it by the number of steps you take, this has more scares per step than any other haunted attraction in or around the Philadelphia area. And why is that? So does that mean that it's going to be a long attraction? No, I clocked this whole thing at about maybe 16 minutes at most. Not too long, right? Because Fright Factory, they claim to be like 45-minute walkthrough. It's not. I think one time somebody claimed it was 30 minutes. It's actually not. It's a little less than 30 minutes, but I digress. So it doesn't, don't think of these haunted attractions as, oh, just because it says that it's an hour that you have to spend a whole hour inside the house. You're not spending a whole hour inside the house. You're spending like a chunk of your time, a concentrated chunk of time to get like mega scares out of you. And if I feel that if you can scream really badly at least twice, maybe 3 times in a haunted attraction, then you've got your money's worth. So I would say, like, if it's like $35 a ticket, for example, I would say that if you got 3 major scares, 3 screams out of you, then it's well worth it. So about $11 a scare, $12 a scare. Yeah, I think that's pretty worth it. So, so I did scream a lot, especially from the people who like jump scared me from behind or like tried to like intimidate me. So yeah, a friend of mine was describing like all of the different types of scares, and I was like, and I never thought about it until today. I was like, yeah, those are actually the kinds of scares that they have in haunted attractions. They have jump scares where people go like from around the corner and they jump out at you and they scare you that way. There's also intimidation scares in which they kind of like get in front of you and they kind of breathe on you, or they kind of try to direct you in a certain direction. So there's a lot of intimidation, there's a lot of jump scares. And what was the other one? I think there was another one that my friend was talking about, and he's like a veteran of all of these haunted attractions. he told me about a lot about all of this stuff that he's gone to. So he likes to create sets and stuff for things. So pretty darn cool. So yeah, one of the newest haunted attractions isn't actually a haunted attraction. It's it's something that's like it's a real life thing, and they showed it, and it was just like he described it as like, oh my god, it was like horrific. It was the Nova Music Festival. They had a documentary exhibit on that, and that's a real life thing in which all of these festival goers, they all like died in a massive way, and that was like so horrible. It was in Israel, and it was just like it can make you cry. It's just awful. So yes, so there's jump scares, subtle creepiness that just makes you scared, and intimidation scares. So lots of jump scares in Lincoln Mill, lots of subtle creepiness, and lots of intimidation. And it was like one after another, after another, after another. So once you got around that first turn, in which there was like nothing that sets up the mood, then suddenly it was just scare after scare, and that was pretty cool. I just wish that I was at the front of the line rather than the back of the line, because I would have preferred getting scared more. So, and I think, in a way, since I got the Platinum VIP and I got to go through twice, I think they should have done something to put me in front on the second pass so that I could get all the scares that I didn't get on the first pass. I think that would have been a much more intelligent way of like shaping the Platinum VIP ticket. I don't know if there's a way of doing that other than like marking people to kind of show that they should be first in line, that kind of thing. So if they were not first in line last time, they could be first in line this time if they have a Platinum VIP ticket. I think that would be a really awesome thing for the owners of Lincoln Mill to do. So anyway, so you're going through various different themed areas, but they all have like one underlying thing, kind of like a meta arc kind of thing, which is the Lincoln Mill backstory with Victor Kane. Now, I will tell you that all the monsters that lead up to Victor Kane, many of them are scary. Some of them are really scary. But Victor Kane, hands down, when you see him, first of all, he looks really, really frightening. He looks so frightening. Like, I've seen him, like, in videos where they would do the makeup and stuff, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't look so scary, like in the daytime, right? So they do all the makeup, and they make this guy look like Victor Kane. And when you actually see him and experience him in real life, you'll be scared out of your mind. It's like crazy. And I think depending on the actor who plays Victor Kane, because I'm pretty sure they probably use different actors on different days. Sometimes he's a taller actor and sometimes he's a shorter actor. I think when you go on a day where he's taller rather than shorter, you'll be scared out of your mind. That's like crazy scary. I got scared out of my mind, and he wasn't that tall. And he was like a little bit taller than me, and I'm 5'7", so it's like he was a little bit taller than me. He was very scary to me, and I remember there were these kids right behind me, and they were scared out of their minds. In fact, one of them had to like kind of hold on to me. He had to hold on to my jacket from behind. He kept on saying, "Oh, I'm sorry. I just want somebody to lead me. I don't want to get lost." And I'm like, "That's okay. No worries. You can hold on to me." So yeah, we were all like walking around. So yeah, the next family kind of like went forward so quickly because they were scared. They were running from monsters that they caught up to our family, my family, which I didn't know any of them, but they were my family, the 4 people that were with me. And yeah, so this other family, they were like, I was basically the start of the chain while we just all kind of tiptoed through there, sort of like Scooby-Doo, you know how like everybody's like this? Well, I'm going to tell you, I was like this. I was like creeped out by a lot of the sounds. I was hiding my eyes much of the time, and the intimidation people, they really intimidated me. And yeah, I kind of wish I was just in the front though. That would have been like, I think I would have screamed a lot more. Yes. So after Victor Kane, I'm just going to tell you that there's another actor who's mega scary, probably just as scary as Victor Kane, because I don't know who this actor is, but he kind of reminds me of, like, he could be like maybe Victor Kane's brother or a clone of him or something. So there's another actor that's a Victor Kane-like person, and he's scary too. And let's see. So they did a lot in a compressed space. And by compressed, I mean it's 9,000 square feet, which is nothing to sneeze at, right? It's a pretty big space. But Fright Factory, for example, claims and boasts 25,000 square feet. I don't think it really, truly is 25,000. At least the walkthrough part of it is not. I think they're including all the waiting area inside Fright Factory to make it 25,000 square feet. So it is definitely longer than Lincoln Mill, though. But in Fright Factory, all of the scares are spaced apart further. Here in Lincoln Mill, it's just one after another, after another, after another. Now, on a good day in Fright Factory, you do get that sense of one after another frights, haunts. But in Lincoln Mill, it's just like one after another. And then there are people following you. I think that's the creepiest part of any haunted house. When somebody's like following you, and then you don't know that they're right behind you, and then they start talking. And then you're like freaked out because it's like, what? I didn't know there was somebody behind me. And then you start crying. Well, at least I do. And then you cover your ears. And then they kind of intimidate you by saying, why are you covering your ears? That's not going to do anything. And I'm like, and why are you covering your eyes? That's not going to do anything. I'm like, so yeah. I think I was genuinely freaked out and scared to the point where my nose got really stuffy and I couldn't really breathe as well. And like what's happening right now, because I'm actually remembering a lot of the scares. And I remember the kids behind me, one of them had like asthma problems or something because he actually had to pause there and he was like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Ah. And so, yeah, he was in trouble. Whatever is that. But, they make you sign this waiver, so they're not liable for anything. It's like your own fault for walking through the maze if you have any sorts of heart conditions or asthma or something like that. So, yeah. So, unfortunately for him, he had, like, severe issues. And I was feeling it, too, a little bit. Yeah. So, the fact that you're getting that scare after scare after scare, that's really like jarring. It's like I'm pretty sure I'll have PTSD over this Lincoln Mill experience, and I don't think I've had PTSD experiences with any haunted attraction, but I think that if I were to experience PTSD, this is the first haunted attraction that would give that to me. I don't know if that's good or bad. I think it's good for the haunted attraction fans out there. I think it's bad if you genuinely have like some sort of medical condition. So in one sense, Lincoln Mill and their advertisement of like being the most scary haunted attraction in Philadelphia, I think there's merit to that. I think that overall, though, I think it's about as scary as other haunted attractions in Philadelphia, like Fright Factory and even Eastern State Penitentiary on a good day. But the fact that you have this condensed format, 16 minutes tops, in which you are bombarded step after step after step with scares, I think that's what makes this the most frightening haunted attraction in Philadelphia. And from that perspective, I think that the $35 cover price is well worth it. So I'm going to tell you that many of the things that you've seen in other haunted attractions are here as well. There's going to be certain things that you've seen elsewhere that are here, but in more condensed form. So they're not going to be as expansive as other places. But they're still frightening nonetheless because of the way that everything is designed, the way that the actors come at you. You're going to feel like, hey, this is like a new experience. It's something you were familiar with, but it's going to feel new because of the way it's designed, because you haven't experienced something like this before in the format that it is. So the mazes themselves, the one circuitous maze, but the little sub-mazes along the way are a little more cramped than other places. So that makes the whole place a little more claustrophobic. If you're like afraid of being enclosed, don't go into this place. But no, I can't say that because that's not quite right. If you like haunted attractions that have claustrophobic feeling, then go to it. But if you're really, really that shocked about claustrophobia, then like if you experience claustrophobia, like if you lock yourself in a closet and you get scared of that, then I would say don't go. But if you're okay and open to the possibility of getting scared while being in a claustrophobic kind of environment, then please go to Lincoln Mill. It is well worth it. You will get scared. And yeah, even the tough guys in front of me who were protecting their girlfriends, they were scared too. So it's not like just the girls were scared. The guys were scared too. And the kids behind me, they were guys and they were scared. And it's just one of those things. Like second pass through, I wasn't as scared, but it's not because I was familiar with everything. It's because the actors didn't seem as enthusiastic the second time around. I don't know why. I think maybe it's just later in the day or something. I don't know. It's the same time frame. I went from 7:30 to 8:10 or so. That was the time frame that I did the two pass-throughs. And the second time around, I remember the first time around, there was this woman who was like up in the rafters. She was clinging up in the rafters like a spider. And we had to all pass under her. And that was really cool. Second time around, she didn't do that. She was like around the corner and just doing like jump scares. And I was like, wait a second. So I would have missed this if I walked along on a pass through in which she didn't cling onto the ceiling. That would not be cool. But I wonder how many other actors kind of did that too, right? Like on one pass, they would cling onto a wall or do something fantastical, and then another pass through, they would just hide behind something to do a jump scare so that you never get the same experience twice. Maybe that's by design. I don't know. I think that would be cool if that was by design, and so that would force you to go through the haunted attraction more than one time. And yeah, maybe on different days you get a different experience. I'm pretty sure that's probably true. And let's see. Oh, the finale is something that everyone's familiar with. Don't want to give it away, but let's just put it this way. They did a tremendous job doing that in the tiny space that they have. So let's just put it this way. It's a small part of the maze. It's towards the end. And they maximized the use of the space. And it is freaking scary. I don't know why this is so, but whenever you hear that sound, I'm not going to describe what the sound is, almost everybody gets scared of that and they start running like crazy. And the smells, it's just very authentic, right? So when you smell that smell, you run. You freaking run. If you don't run, there's going to be trouble. And you don't want to get caught up in the smells too, because that can physically kill you. So you want to get away from that environment as quickly as possible. And yeah, once you're outside, there's a breather space, so you can just stand there and just like cool off, and that's pretty cool. So yeah, it's not a long walkthrough, like I said, but the fact that everything's so condensed and frightful every step of the way is pretty darn cool. And yeah, well worth $35. Well worth the VIP also for $15 more. And if you get that Platinum VIP, do give that a try. 2 passes for $70. And that's a pretty cool deal. And parking. Parking is like kind of kooky around there. It's $6 for 2 hours at the parking lot. You can probably get everything done in 1 hour, possibly, unless you wait in that impossibly long line. So 1 hour is just $3 parking at the parking lot. Yeah. So yes. Everybody, if you like this video, please slam the like button, subscribe to my channel. You'll see more videos just like this one. Until next time, everybody, see you, bye, and happy Halloween.